Malaysia and Brunei signed 2 MOU towards stronger ties. State elections candidate advised to observe health precautions. Good evening and Salam Malaysia Madani. Thanks for joining us. I'm SAHIH and you're watching Malaysia Tonight. Malaysia and Brunei have agreed to strengthen cooperation in the field of youth and sports, as well as in Sharia judiciary, through the signing of 2 Memoranda of Understanding MOU at Sri Perdana today. Also signed was a treaty on the international transfer of prisoners ITOP. The signing and exchange of the MOU and the treaty were witnessed by Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim and the Sultan of Brunei, Sultan Hassan Al Bolkiah, who is on a 3-day state visit to Malaysia. The treaty on ITOP was signed by Home Minister Datuk Seri Saifuddin Nasution Ismail and his counterpart Datuk Seri Setia Awang Ahmadin Abdul Rahman. The MOU on the cooperation in the field of youth and sports were inked by Youth and Sports Minister Hannah Yeoh and her Brunei counterpart Datuk Seri Setia Awang Nazmi Muhammad. Meanwhile, Malaysian Sharia Judiciary Department Director General cum Sharia Chief Judge Datuk Muhammad Amran Mat Zain and the Brunei Sharia Chief Judge Datuk Paduka Seri Setia Awang Salim Besar signed the MOU on cooperation in Sharia Judiciary. Sultan Hassan Al Bolkiah and his consort, Raja Isteri Pengiran Anak Salihat, arrived in Kuala Lumpur yesterday for a 3-day state visit to Malaysia until tomorrow. The state visit coincides with the 24th Malaysia-Brunei Darussalam Annual Leaders Consultation ALC, which will be attended by both the Sultan of Brunei and Datuk Seri Anwar. Candidates and election officials involved in the 6 state elections are encouraged to observe precautionary measures by wearing face masks and exercising social distancing if they are having symptoms of influenza. Health Minister Dr. Zaliha Mustafa said wearing a face mask while campaigning can curb the spread of infectious diseases.
Influenza ini ialah penyakit berjangkit lah ya. Jadi bagi mereka-mereka yang ada gejala, khususnya lah tak kira lah maksudnya calon ke ataupun petugas pilihan raya ke, jika ada tanda-tanda, pertama kena cepatlah berjumpa doktor dan yang keduanya melakukan langkah-langkah kawalan diri.
She said this to reporters after a meeting with the Joint Council of the President and the Secretary General of the Ministry of Health Trade Unions, MAPSU KKM, in Putrajaya today. Dr. Zaliha said this is in response to media reports of overcrowding in private hospitals in the country due to the increase in the number of influenza patients. Yesterday, Defence Minister Datuk Seri Muhammad Hassan, who is also UMNO Deputy President, was confirmed down with influenza and instructed by his doctors to rest for 3 days. Election Commission EC Chairman Tan Sri Abdul Ghani Saleh said today that the Pulai Parliamentary and Simpang Jeram state by-elections in Johor will cost an estimated 6 million ringgit. Elaborating further, Tan Sri Abdul Ghani said the expenditure for the Pulai Parliamentary by-election is estimated at 4.5 million ringgit, while for the Simpang Jeram by-election at 1.5 million ringgit. The EC said polling for the 2 by-elections on 9 September, with nomination on 26 August and early voting on 5 September. The EC chairman also said that the electoral roll to be used for the by-elections is the latest supplementary electoral roll updated as of 23rd July. He noted that the EC offered any government agency, non-governmental organisation, NGOs or bodies interested to become an election observer to see the progress of the by-elections starting from the day candidates are nominated until the election results are announced. He said they are allowed to make observations such as at the nomination centres, polling stations, vote counting centres and official vote tallying centres and must comply with all the appointment conditions that have been set. A special task force will be set up next month to review and strengthen the country's law, especially concerning investment and business. Minister in the Prime Minister's Department for Law and Institutional Reform, Datuk Sri Azalina Othman, said it will look into laws involving big businesses and online trade, sale and purchase contracts, as well as trade, including countering scammers. Speaking on RTM Selamat Pagi Malaysia program, Datuk Sri Azalina said it is important to empower the country's laws to help realise the government's agenda of developing the nation under the Madani economy framework. She said apart from good governance, a well-functioning legal framework can give confidence to investors to invest in the country. She explained that the Special Task Force will also study issues related to artificial intelligence involving technology fraud and whether the country is prepared to manage businesses in this field. The task force would work together with local universities and related agencies to conduct studies and the review. She is confident that if everything proceeded smoothly, the task force proposal on legal amendments and enhancement could be tabled in next year's Parliament session. Discussions pertaining to the new Industrial Master Plan 2030 as well as the Free Trade Agreement have been conducted between the Ministry of Investment, Trade and Industry and the Ministry of Entrepreneur Development and Cooperatives. Discussions were held by their ministers while focusing on the target of forming a small and medium enterprises ecosystem and a strong domestic supply chain. Investment, Trade and Industry Minister Tengku Datuk Sri Zafrul Tengku Abdul Aziz explained that the new Industrial Master Plan would enable the local companies to take part in the supply chain of multinational companies. He further noted that the Master Plan would also foster and encourage local joint ventures and increase the competitiveness of local small and medium enterprises. He said priorities will also be given to the micro, small and medium enterprises, MSMEs, the Bumiputras and women. Last year, MSMEs contributed 38.4% to the gross domestic product apart from creating 7.5 million job opportunities. To fully benefit from the Free Trade Agreement, Tengku Datuk Sri Zafrul said his ministry will collaborate with the Ministry of Entrepreneur Development and Cooperatives in promoting awareness among the MSMEs. A feasibility study will be conducted soon on the viability of a railway system to be constructed in Sarawak, as the state has yet to have any rail network. Transport Minister Anthony Loke said discussions are being held between the federal government and the State Transport Ministry and a budget could be applied in order for the study to be conducted. According to Loke, the federal government is fully supportive on the vision and implementation of the Sarawak Transportation Master Plan, and it hopes the state could succeed in managing a better transportation network. As for Sabah, he said, the state has a short rail network and there is a lot of room for improvement in the state. He also revealed that the ministry would continue to push for the timely completion of the Gemas Johor Bahru double-track rail project, East Coast Rail Ring, Johor Bahru Singapore Rapid Transit System Link, and start rolling out new projects including the Mass Rapid Transit Line 3 in the Klang Valley and the Light Rail Transit in Pulau Pinang. He explained that these infrastructures are economic catalysts that will change how the current and the next generation live and work in the future. The Ministry of Entrepreneur Development and Cooperatives announced an additional allocation of 200 million ringgit to fund informal and micro entrepreneurs under Tekun Nasional. As Minister Dato' Iwan Benedict said, the additional sum is meant to assist more of those entrepreneurs and would come from internal funds, which will bring this year's total allocation to 800 million ringgit.
Dana dalaman maksud dia datang daripada hasil pembayaran balik peminjam-peminjam di kalangan usahawan PMKS.
He expressed hope that the additional funds can assist more informal and micro entrepreneurs in their businesses, and the ministry targets more than 36,000 borrowers to benefit through loans between 10,000 ringgit and 100,000 ringgit. He said that throughout its 25 years operations, Tekun Nasional has implemented numerous agendas and programs to benefit informal and micro entrepreneurs throughout the country. Tekun Nasional also diversified its financial products to meet the needs of entrepreneurs and provide them with options. In our foreign front, 2 killed as Typhoon Khanun tears through Okinawa. Indonesia has sent emergency aid to its easternmost province of Papua, where a drought has killed 6 people, including a baby, and left thousands without water since June. Disaster officials blame the El Nino weather phenomenon, generally associated with a rise in global temperatures, for the drought and extreme cold weather that has caused crop failures and left many without access to water in the worst-hit Puncak Regency in central Papua. In total, 17.1 tons of aid had been sent to the impoverished region, including thousands of packets of instant food and hundreds of tents and blankets. Indonesia's National Disaster Mitigation Agency, BNPB, said the drought has affected more than 7,500 people. The worst affected areas were difficult to reach because of poor weather conditions. BNPB head Surharyanto also said the area was only accessible by motorbike, helicopter or plane because of rough terrain and the presence of separatists who have waged a decades-long insurgency against the Indonesian rule. A former Dutch colony, Papua declared independence in 1961, but neighbouring Indonesia took control 2 years later. 2 people were reported dead in Okinawa as of this morning as slow-moving typhoon Hanun continued to bring heavy rain and gusty winds to southern Japan, prolonging the damage potential of the storm. According to the Fire and Disaster Management Agency, a total of 41 people in Okinawa and Kagoshima prefectures were injured and some 166,000 households were out of power this morning. Naha Airport, located in Okinawa's capital city and the main gateway to the popular tourist destination, resumed operations after shutting down for 2 days, but hundreds of flights remain cancelled. Hanun, which means jackfruit in Thai, was heading slowly northwest in the East China Sea as of early afternoon, with sustained winds of 162 kilometers per hour and gusts of up to 234 kilometers per hour. Public broadcaster NHK said the storm in the East China Sea was heading northwest and is projected to change direction to move east towards the country's mainland through next Tuesday, but its path was not determined. The World Meteorological Organization WMO said that the developing El Nino is expected to have negative impacts on global agricultural production this year. Earlier in July, the WMO declared that El Nino conditions have developed in the tropical Pacific for the first time in 7 years, setting the stage for a possible surge in global temperatures, disruptive weather and climate patterns. WMO warns of impact on global agriculture. As a naturally occurring climate event, El Nino is associated with the warming of sea surface temperatures in the central and eastern tropical Pacific. It can trigger changes in the weather such as flooding in normally dry areas with little rain and drought in pluvial areas. For some parts of the world, there could be drought associated with El Nino, so the impact of drought clearly is not good on agriculture. For communities that can do so, they would need to consider irrigating their crops. Other parts of the world could experience floods, and so depending on the severity of the floods that could also impact agriculture, it could destroy crops. A WMO update said that there is a 90% probability of the El Nino event continuing during the second half of 2023, and it is expected to be at least of moderate strength. Man City agrees to seal Josko Vardiol deal. That and more next in sports. Badminton Association of Malaysia BAM President Tan Sri Muhammad Norza Zakaria refuted speculations that his early resignation is related to polemic involving former Academy Badminton Malaysian Junior Singles Coaching Director Dato' Misbun Siddiq's termination of contract. Instead, he said he has identified a few candidates he believes are suitable to take his position.
Saya pendekkan saya punya peletakan jawatan. I will resign end of the year. We have found a successor, a few possible candidate. Saya akan table kepada council.
However, he refused to reveal the identity or the number of potential candidates, but said that he had already submitted the names of potential candidates to the BAM Council. Tan Sri Mohammad Nozar yesterday dropped a bombshell by announcing that he would step down from the post of president at the end of the year, which is earlier than what he initially announced. The decision came as a shock to many since he had only last month announced that he intends to leave the national body after the 2024 Olympic Games. Legendary Italian goalkeeper Gianluigi Buffon has retired from football after 28 years in which he reached exceptional milestones for club and country. Buffon had an illustrious career on the field with having lifted the World Cup in 2006 and won 10 Serie A titles with Juventus and a Ligue 1 title with Paris Saint-Germain. Widely regarded as one of the greatest keepers of all time, he ended his career where he started at Parma, who are in the Italian second tier, having struggled with injuries in his final season. Buffon joined Juve from Parma in 2001 and spent most of his career with the club, except for a season at PSG in 2018-2019, before returning to Turin and then to Parma in June 2021. Buffon began his career in Parma's youth system in 1991, aged 13, initially playing in midfield before adapting to the role of goalkeeper due to his height and physical attributes. He made his Serie A debut for Parma in a goalless draw against AC Milan in November 1995 at the age of 17. Buffon played a record 657 times in the Italian top flight and was UEFA Club Footballer of the Year in 2003. He is the most capped goalkeeper of all time, having played 176 times for Italy. He retired from international football in 2018 after Italy failed to qualify for the 2018 World Cup in Russia. Manchester City have agreed on the fee for Croatia defender Josko Vardiol. According to media reports yesterday, RB Leipzig is believed to have finalised a £77.5 million deal from the treble champions for the services of the 21-year-old centre-back. Vardiol will next undergo a medical and is set to travel to England imminently. He is unlikely to make his debut in Sunday's Community Shield clash with Arsenal at Wembley, but should be signed in time to be available for City's Premier League opener against Burnley. Vardiol will become Pep Guardiola's second summer signing after the arrival of Mateo Kovacic from Chelsea. Ilkay Gundogan and Riyad Mahrez have both left, and there could yet be more outgoings, with interest in Bernardo Silva, Kyle Walker, Calvin Phillips and Aymeric Laporte. Vardiol, who starred for Croatia on their third-place finish at the 2022 World Cup, made 88 appearances for the East German side after transferring from boyhood club Dinamo Zagreb in 2021, winning 2 German Cups. Still to come in our business segment, proton sales continue upward trend. The agri-commodity sector plays quite a significant role in realizing the Madani economy vision, which is for Malaysia to become among the top 30 largest economies in the world. Deputy Prime Minister Datuk Sri Fadilah Yusof said the ministry's vision, which is to ensure the sustainability of the sector for the people's well-being, is in line with the Madani economy concept. As such, Datuk Sri Fadilah said focus must be given on ways to maintain or further increase the nation's commodity exports.
Kita boleh memfokuskan pertama sekali dari segi produktiviti. Bila kita mengatakan produktiviti, kita kena melihat dari segi keseluruhan rantaian pengeluaran hasil komoditi. Dari segi penanaman, input pertanian, proses ataupun mekanisme pertanian itu sendiri, bagaimana kita nak menanam, bagaimana kita hasilkan pendapat yield yang lebih, dan bagaimana proses penuaian, apakah teknologi-teknologi baru nak digunakan, dan bagaimana pula hasil-hasilan hiliran yang kita nak tambahkan.
Datuk Sri Fadilah said the aspect of productivity is important to be improved, and the government has established cooperatives to help the smallholders in getting assistance. This includes agricultural input as well as the use of modern technology to enable them to enhance their productivity and income. Proton Holdings Berhad continued its upward domestic and export sales trajectory in July with 13,326 automobile units sold, an improvement of 16.1% over July last year. In a statement released today, the national automaker said the figure helps lift year-to-date or YTD sales to 90,647 units, the earliest the company has exceeded the 90,000 unit barrier since 2012, and a 26.6% increase over the previous year. The statement also said that Proton's market share for July is forecasted at 20.5%, with YTD market share at 21%. Its achievement is framed against a backdrop of increasing automotive sales, as the total industry volume, TIV, is estimated to be 64,864 units for July. This equates to a 29.9% increase over the same month in 2022 and pushes the YTD figure 12.9% above the same period last year. Therefore, Proton's sales performance up to July this year is currently outpacing the industry by 14%. Proton EDA Chief Executive Officer Roslan Abdullah meanwhile said automotive sales in Malaysia continue to be strong in 2023, with no drop-off in demand 4 months after the expiry of the deadline to deliver cars under the Penjana incentive scheme. The Malacca State Government is confident of achieving investment worth 7.6 billion ringgit by the end of this year, surpassing the initial target of 5 billion ringgit. Its Chief Minister, Datuk Sri Abdul Rauf Yusof, said Malacca has received almost 6 billion ringgit worth of investment so far, and he believes that the remaining amount can be fulfilled through investment from China and Germany in the future.
Ya, kita bersasarkan memang setiap tahun Melaka 5 bilion ringgit. 5 bilion ringgit ini telah pun kita capai dengan pelaburan yang dibawa oleh Texas Instrument. Kita tunggu lagi dalam 2.6 bilion pelabur-pelabur pada Jerman dan China. Menjelang hujung tahun ini akan kita lengkapkan.
It was reported that Minister of Investment, Trade and Industry Tengku Datuk Sri Zafrul Abdul Aziz said Texas Instruments plan to invest 14.6 billion ringgit to expand operations in Kuala Lumpur and Malacca, with production in both locations expected to commence as early as 2025. Out of that total potential investment, 5 billion ringgit is to be invested in Malacca, creating 500 jobs. Datuk Sri Abdul Rauf also said the state government will also prioritise existing and new growth areas that have high added values, led by technology, including high technology semiconductor manufacturing. Kerana Research said the construction sector is expected to see an acceleration in the rollout of the 45 billion ringgit Mass Rapid Transit 3 MRT 3 project and 6 flood mitigation projects reportedly to be worth 13 billion ringgit, assuming there is a market-friendly outcome of the state elections on 12 August. In its sector update note, the research firm said this would also likely expedite the disbursement of the massive 97 billion gross development expenditure as under budget 2023, which is a 35% increase year-on-year versus 71.6 billion a year ago. Meanwhile, it said the private sector construction market is vibrant, underpinned by massive investment in new semiconductor foundries and data centers. The shift was following multinational corporations diversifying their manufacturing base away from China to mitigate risk. Overall, Kenanga Research is maintaining an overweight call on the construction sector, as the sector's dynamics are favourable for earnings growth in 2023. This is contributed namely by the gradual return of foreign workers that would elevate labour shortages and the lower prices of base metals like steel and aluminium, along with other key building materials such as diesel and bitumen, due to weaker oil prices will reduce costs. The World Bank said Malaysia has emerged as a country with notable resilience and potential for recovery amid the challenges brought about by the COVID-19 pandemic. In its report, Building Malaysia's Resilience, Lessons from COVID-19's Economic Impacts and Policy Responses, the World Bank said Malaysia leads the way in a survey which included Cambodia, Indonesia, Mongolia, the Philippines and Vietnam. The survey examines the economic consequences and government responses to the pandemic in the 6 economies. The bank noted that the 6 experienced the crisis differently and implemented various measures to contain the spread of the virus and to mitigate economic impacts with varying degrees of success. Country Manager for Malaysia, Yasuhiko Matsuda, said the COVID-19 shock reduced employment and household income, but the report showed that Malaysia did relatively well compared to the 5 on the macro level. Senior economist Ririn Salwa Purnamasari, meanwhile, in her report presentation highlighted that Malaysia's economy was stable and growing before the pandemic with a 5% annual growth rate and was the wealthiest among the 6. A total of 2,541 new foreign-funded enterprises were established in China's financial hub, Shanghai, during the first half H1 of the 2023, an increase of 63.3% year-on-year. During that period, the actual utilization of foreign capital in the city exceeded $12.7 billion, up 7.1% year-on-year. Of the investments, about 96.2% went to the tertiary sector, an increase of 6.1% over the same period of 2022. The majority of foreign capital was used in information technology, scientific research and technology services, as well as leasing and business services industries. The Hong Kong Special Administrative Region, Singapore and Japan rank in the top 3 in terms of the actual amount of foreign investment utilized in Shanghai. Shanghai has solidified its position as a preferred foreign investment destination and continues to maintain its status as a city with the most concentrated regional headquarters and foreign-funded research and development centers of multinational corporations on the Chinese mainland. Based on statistics from the Shanghai Municipal Commission of Commerce, Shanghai had been home to 922 regional headquarters of multinational corporations and 544 foreign-funded research and development centers as of June. Experiencing robust sales from its blockbuster Zelda Tears of the Kingdom video game among other titles, this could provide fertile ground for gaming giant Nintendo to release a new console by 2024. According to experts, investor sentiment has been buoyed by the breakout success of the Super Mario Bros. Movie, which leads this year's global box office ranking, and praise for video game The Legend of Zelda Tears of Kingdom, which went on sale in May. Speaking ahead of the Japanese gaming giant's quarterly earnings report, Kantan Games Consultancy said it was perhaps time for Nintendo to replace the console, first released in 2017. Nintendo today said it sold 3.91 million units of its Switch console in the April to June quarter, which compared with 3.43 million units sold in the same period a year earlier. The Kyoto-based gaming firm maintained its full-year forecast for the console of 15 million units as it sold 17.97 million units in the previous financial year. Nintendo's shares have delivered a more than threefold return, including dividends, since the Switch went on sale in major markets in March 2017, outperforming the benchmark Nikkei's 91% return over the same period. That concludes Malaysia Tonight this time around. In our top story, Malaysia and Brunei signed 2 MOU towards stronger ties. Do tune in to Updates at Noon, coming up tomorrow at 12:30 p.m. on TV2. You can also stream it via RTM's mobile Click app. Till then, I'm SAHIH Samsudin, Malaysia Madani, tekad perpaduan penuhi harapan. Thank you for watching.